You talk in your book, the War on Normal People, you talk about what you would do with the healthcare system, and you recommend a single-payer healthcare system. Obviously, I'm a massive opponent of a single-payer healthcare system. That is acknowledging the problems with our employment-based healthcare system. That's something I think both of us agree on. Now, I'd prefer a system where people are effectively paying for their own healthcare so that they can actually see the cost of what it is that they are consuming. And then we can form coalitions, as we do, and associations to help defray the cost for people who have pre-existing conditions and all the rest. You recommend a single-payer healthcare system. Why do you think that's the best option?
Well, I think you and I might have had similar experiences where if you run a small company, you see that our current employment-based system is a real weight on the economy, where it makes it harder to hire people. It makes it harder to treat someone as a full-time employee because you have these incentives to treat them as a contractor. It makes it harder to start a business. It makes it harder to change jobs. It's like this massive source of friction. And so the question is, how do you separate healthcare from your employment situation? Because right now, you can imagine how many more entrepreneurs there'd be in the US if they didn't have to stress out about healthcare for themselves and their families. I mean, there'd be many, many more people starting businesses. Now, I agree with you that there has to be some kind of skin in the game. Like, it can't be that if you just show up, it's like always cost-free, because there are some people that are hypochondriacs and like consume a lot of treatment. So there should be some sort of individual skin in the game. That said, I feel that healthcare is an environment where the market is going to be an imperfect solution, because one, you get very cost insensitive if you have a serious illness or your loved one is seriously ill. Two, it's like the pricing is very confusing and opaque, and then you're relying upon specialists for various pieces of information to say, oh, you need this, you don't need that. And so it's not like the same sort of market as many other consumer goods or experiences where you can trust that, you're going to say, hey, I'm educated on what that product means for me. So I think that we need to try and get the costs down. And right now, we're living in the worst of all worlds, where we're spending twice as much on our healthcare as other societies to worse results. And it's a massive impediment to our economy and hiring and dynamism. So I just think that having a robust public option, you can improve the access, bring down the costs, just because we're saddled with this incredibly inefficient system right now.
So there are a couple of points to be made in defense of the American healthcare system, putting aside the employment basis, which I think is deeply wrong and was initiated in response to actually wage controls in the 1940s. One of the things to be said is that when it comes to 5-year cancer survival rates, the United States still ranks #1. When you remove homicide and car accident, the United States still has the longest life expectancy. Yes, we're expensive, but if you look at us on a per capita GDP basis, we're actually not all that far out of the realm of possibility, because the fact is that we're a very wealthy country. People are choosing to spend. We do develop more than half of all new medical patents. So there's some upsides to the fact that we have a market in healthcare.
And one thing I do want to say is I would not